I turned on the good vibes light just to make sure we're safe. Keep the vibes extra special today.
But here we go, but here we
We've heard it all before. We know yoga is good for you. Meditation, it's so good for you. It's so relaxing. Why? How? I want to know the science. I want to know the nitty-gritty facts. I want to know the goods. Show me what's in the bag, okay? So today we are going to dive so deep into the depths of Google. We're going to find out exactly what studies have been done and what we know happens in the body chemically, physically when we're doing yoga, because I need to know. Time to get to business. Okay, so I've compiled a little note here on my computer of all of my findings. So I've broken it down into a couple categories. The first one is deep breathing. Apparently, when you're deep breathing during yoga, you activate your vagus nerve, which is responsible for so many muscles in your head, your eyes, your heart, your digestive organs, and having an elevated vagal tone is associated with a bunch of really good things like improved digestion and just overall better immune function. Now, there's also another type of deep breathing that specifically causes this muscle in the back of your throat called the glottis muscle to contract, and that movement actually improves your heart's capacity to regulate blood pressure. But let's jump into joints and joint pain in particular, because that's been studied a lot with yoga. It looks like that regular practice actually loosens the muscles and connective tissues around the joints, which reduces a significant amount of pain for those joints. So it just kind of helps things loosen up and not be so tight and constricted. Now, this is your answer. Remember that joints aren't necessarily the thing that we're targeting when we have joint pain. We're targeting the muscles around those joints so that we can better support the joint itself, especially if you have something like cartilage loss in between joints. It can be really painful. So to build up muscle around the joints can be helpful, and to learn how to use the muscles around your joints so that you're not putting more pressure than necessary on those already painful areas. There's several studies that show patients with arthritis doing yoga and seeing just huge improvements in their pain, most likely because of this loosening around their joints, but also they're seeing a lot of general health and vitality and mental health improvements, probably because they've reduced their pain so dramatically. But those of us who have practiced yoga, we know how yoga makes you feel. It makes you feel great, so it's probably that too. Now let's move on to brain chemistry, because obviously brain chemistry is a huge factor in whether or not we feel happy or good or any kind of dopamine release from an activity. Those who have done yoga for 8 weeks straight had a very regulated cortisol response to stress, better performance on tests, decision-making, task switching, and emotional regulation. Tell me why I'm still fucked up then. Huh? Riddle me that. Apparently, yoga really helps the hippocampus and the prefrontal cortex from age-related changes and degeneration. Jesus Christ. Your prefrontal cortex, it's part of your personality and how you express that. It helps you make decisions, and it moderates your behavior in society. Your hippocampus is a huge player in learning and memory and helps build the person that you've become over the years and the person you remember yourself to be, all the things you've learned over the years. So imagine these two things are very important for your life, right? We need our hippocampus to stay on top of our learning and our memory. We need our prefrontal cortex to be on top of our personality expression, our decision-making, moderating who we are as a person. Now, imagine if you could do things to help reduce the amount of degeneration that would happen in those parts of your brain. That's what yoga does. We can help prevent age-related neurodegeneration by just practicing a little bit of mindful movement every so often during the week. It's really that simple, and it almost seems like there's a catch. Like, what else do I gotta do? But it's really nothing. It's just do yoga as regularly as you can, and you are going to help so much with age-related degeneration of your brain. Now, let's move on to just actual happiness and what I could find on what yoga does for just happiness and joy in general. I've heard a lot of people talk about yoga helping them with anxiety and depression, but I want to know why. What is happening in my brain? What's making people that practice this just find a little bit less depressive episodes in their life? So, first thing, it could be related to the heart variability and the vagus nerve interaction that we talked about earlier. And there actually is a correlation between people with a higher heart rate variability and a higher vagus nerve activity rate with people that are just generally kinder, happier, and more compassionate people. We've already found that link scientifically. So it could be that. It also could be from a shift in your brain chemistry. We've done some MRI scans, and apparently people who practice yoga long term have less deterioration of gray matter in their brain. Now, that naturally deteriorates as we age. But it's not just the fact that the gray matter didn't deteriorate in people who practice yoga regularly. It's where it didn't deteriorate. The regions of the brain involved with experience of happiness and joy and all these other positive mental states are the parts that didn't deteriorate. So that's probably a huge part in why people are just happier who do yoga. Because the parts of their brain that make them feel happiness aren't going anywhere. But it doesn't stop there. It could also be due to this increase of activity in these parts of the brain, areas that help us feel empathy and gratitude towards others and for our life and just kindness in general. So there's specific parts of the brain that actually have to work to make us happier, more well-rounded people that people actually are going to want to spend time with. Those parts of our brain are increasing in activity when we do yoga. So that's probably another huge playing factor in why people are just generally more happy when they do yoga on a regular basis. It seems like there's multiple chemical changes in the body and multiple bodily, like muscle reactions that are happening when you do yoga. And they all compile together to create this experience that feels so good in so many different ways and from so many different angles, mentally, physically, and even spiritually. Wow. I don't know, do people come out of the gym and feel like they've been like their whole soul has been rejuvenated? I don't know. You tell me, you gym lovers out there. Okay, let's just how does exercise compare to yoga? Oh, interesting. Wow, this is kind of cool. It says that yoga compared to exercise in terms of your muscular system. Yoga helps develop muscles evenly over the bone surface, thereby increasing your flexibility. Exercise focuses typically on increasing muscle mass. As a result, we have the length of the muscle shortening and the flexibility decreasing as we build up the muscles. Interesting. Now we go to the heart. Yoga, once your position has been attained, the body is relaxed and blood requirement is reduced. This relieves stress on the heart. Whereas with exercise, the effect is the opposite. Ordinary exercise puts a strain on the muscles and a strain on the blood circulation and blood pressure, which in turn increases the workload on the heart as it needs to pump faster. And that's okay, but I think the comparison here is that yoga gives you these ups and downs. Respiratory system comparison. In yoga, the body is in a relaxed state, so the workload on the respiratory system is reduced, whereas in exercise, the constant movement increases your oxygen requirement to the muscles, and it increases your speed of breathing, causing the lungs to work harder, which again, doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing, just a comparison. Stress levels. Yoga reduces the cortisol levels in the body. Cortisol is a hormone linked to perceived stress. Exercise actually increases cortisol levels in the body because the body perceives exercise as stress. Now that is interesting, my friends. Yoga promotes better cognition through specific nostril breathing, which is absent in regular exercise unless you've really decided you're going to put that into your exercise because you've learned about it through watching this video. After yoga, the body experiences this relaxation due to the soothing effect of this deep breathing through the nose. Exercise leads to the production of lactic acid after an exercise, which causes fatigue and exhaustion. So after an exercise, you're going to have soreness and pain and exhaustion, whereas after yoga, your body's going to be more relaxed and more able to relax in the long term. Other benefits of yoga, which are absent in exercise, are increased pain tolerance, control over impulsive behavior, and resetting the biological rhythm. Overall, yoga provides most of the benefits of exercise in addition to improving subjective aspects such as peace, contentment, and happiness. Ain't that just something? So it sounds like, my friends, you aren't gonna do any harm by just trying a little bit of yoga. If you were wondering if it's worth it, if you were wondering if you have the time to squeeze it into your day, now you might feel a little bit more motivated, a little bit more fire under the booty, because you're like, hey, I know that Kirsten told me, she did the research for me, and it's gonna do something in my body. It's gonna help me feel better. It's gonna change my levels in my brain of stress, and we're gonna feel better together doing yoga. You know what I'm saying? Now, the other end of this, if you're somebody who really prefers to go to the gym and exercise with weights, or you like to go on runs, maybe you take from this that you're gonna start incorporating deep nostril breathing, because we already know that that's really good for stress. And maybe you take some breaks in your workout so that you have that moment to relax. Maybe you kind of infuse little bits of mindfulness into your workout so that it kind of is like yoga exercise in a way, you know? You know what I'm saying? All right, my friends, I think that this wraps up this video. We've discovered a lot today. It's been fun. I've been really enjoying finding out what I'm doing to my body and brain when I do this yoga practice on a daily basis, and I feel a lot better about doing it now. So I hope you liked this video, and if you did, don't forget to write in the comments to me, hit that like button, because if you hit the like button, I promise you tonight that I will do 5 minutes extra of yoga just for you, dedicated to you. Don't take that away from me. Don't take that away from yourself. You want that. We want that. Go subscribe. My videos are a lot of fun, and I want you to be part of it, okay? It's not fun unless we're doing it together, right? Love you so much. Bye. Oh, that was a nice little ding. Perfect timing. Scientific American? I don't know if I'm trusting that. I'm sorry, I have to burp. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. It's a normal human reaction, okay? Get over it. I'm realizing in this moment that my table is very creaky. I have to sneeze. Woo! Wow. Recharge. That is so good.